Hello everyone, this is Gary from Fantastic Fundas, and you will see a new approach towards the way that I am teaching you from this lecture onwards. And if this is liked by the majority of you, then we will do a rest of the remaining history lectures in this format only. Now, to begin with, this lecture is on the current affairs, and they basically the economy section I will be dealing in this lecture. There have been a lot of news on economy, and that is very important section for your prelim and mains examination as well. Right. So we begin with the news on this. This is very important news. This we begin with the news on WTO, right? World Trade Organization. So why? What is the news over here that we are concerned with? The first news, it is about India. There was a case going on between India and USA versus USA, right? I'll just redo that, versus USA. What had happened that there was a lot of fear of avian influenza. ठीक है जी. तो avian influenza से बचने के लिए what India did, India ने बैन लगा दिया on products by on the all the poultry products from USA to India. कि USA कुछ भी इंडिया के अंदर पोल्ट्री का प्रोडक्ट नहीं आ सकता. So USA went to WTO against this action by of India, and there India first lost the case, and then India went for appeal, and in appeal also we lost the case in 2015. Now we are talking about this case over here. Now what is the judgment, right? We talk about the judgment over here now. So the judgment over here basically dealt with, let's talk about the judgment. What was the red letter by the court? So the red letter of the court was that, first of all, they said that it is basically this big win for the United States, and court said that that India's assessment, or let's say the India's risk assessments, were not based on international standards. Number one, so our risk assessment was very poor. Number one. Number two, what the WTO said in this appeal case in which India lost, that because see, our avian influenza norms, they were in violation of the global norms. And why so? Because are these norms, see, our avian influenza norms, they were basically for just the United States of America, and they were not imposed on any other country whatsoever, right? Now, because of these things, these two main arguments, India lost the case. Now, if we talk about what are the effects of the judgment, right? That we can talk over here. Effects. I'll just quickly draw a line over here so that we can cover the next news over here only. So, what are the effects of the judgment? Effect of judgment on India, right? This is EFFECT, and the effects are, first of all, now in WTO, under the process, India will get 12 to 18 months for compliance with this order, after which all the US poultry, eggs, chickens, and all those famous wings of United States, I mean the chicken wings जो होते हैं बहुत famous हैं US के, आप इंडिया में भी उनको खा सकेंगे. And second thing is, because India is a huge market, so it'll mean a lot of money for United States of America, right? So this was the news about it. But before I move ahead, I like to talk to you about because see, this was done by WTO. So let's talk about how WTO mechanism works, and a little bit about how much time does it take and what is the process at WTO. So let's see what is happening at WTO. This is WTO dispute mechanism, about which we are going to talk. Now, what is happening in this? See, the WTO dispute mechanism, this is based on few principles. And what are those principles? What those can be? These are the same principles of justice which are applied everywhere, and one of them is equity, and then it has to be Justice has to be fast, only then it is good, and only then it will be effective. Other, if it is not effective justice, then that means, if let's say a judgment comes after 100 years, it will not be of any use. And then lastly, the one of the basic principle of WTO dispute mechanism is the mutual acceptability of the whole. Mutual acceptability, right? Now, on these principles WTO works, right? Now, when does a dispute arise? When do we say that a dispute has arisen? So a dispute has, we say that dispute is arisen when a single country, right, it adopts one country on this side, it has adopted some trade policy which is or it takes some trade policy, or let's say any of its actions is not something which WTO considers to be valid, right, or which WTO feels that that is not in consonance with the WTO agreements, right? It violates WTO agreements, that's one, or violates the law, or that's the same thing actually, right? Then we say or it fails, right? Sometimes there are bilateral obligations, for example India and United States, for an example, imaginary example, that they entered into some obligation, कोई आपस में उनका समझौता हो गया, एंड फिर इंडिया उस ऑब्लिगेशन को पूरा नहीं करता या यूएस नहीं करता, तब भी लाइबिलिटी यहाँ पर अराइज होती है. तो अब हम देखना चाहते हैं, तो इन दैट केस, राइट, और WTO डिस्प्यूट शुरू हो जाता है, ठीक है जी. सो टू पुट इट सिंपली, अ डिस्प्यूट अराइजेस बिटवीन टू कंट्रीज एज पर द WTO definition when one of the countries who breaches that whose trade policy or whose actions are not in consonance with the WTO agreements or the WTO laws or the obligations mutually accepted by the parties. So that is when the cause of action arises, right? Now, once the cause of action has arisen, so we will have to see that what happens once the cause of action has arisen. So what happens is, first of all, the procedure, right? Now, is basically based on understanding only, and the procedure is the first thing to happen is the consultation, right? Consultation happens first. This is like the first step of any WTO, because they talk about it, right? Now this goes on for like 60 days, right? And the second step, if on consultation parties talk to each other, they try to convince each other, they try to solve the dispute without going into the process of the litigation. But if this doesn't work, then they have to go into litigation, right? Now this process of litigation, this is a pretty long one actually. This may last from 9 to 12 months, right? Now 60 days, this is 60 days over here. Consultation is done quickly now, and then litigation. And then after litigation, the process of implementation comes, right? Process of implementation. I'll just put it here quickly. I'll just put it here. This is a third step over here, and this is the process of implementation, right? Now this implementation process, this takes around 13 to 16 months. As I said earlier, India this 12 to 18 months basically. This is the implementation time overall. So this is how the WTO, the whole of the process is taking place, right? Now suppose that there can be a question about it. What if members are not able to agree on to one solution? What happens then? Because we see that all the solution, whatever there is, it should be mutual acceptable to both the countries. Only then it's a solution. Then what happens if if mutual acceptability is missing over here? Then what happens that if this thing is missing, mutual acceptability is missing, if this is missing, then what happens that we go to they can request for a panel of independent experts, right? Then they go for the independent experts who will then decide the matter to resolve the dispute, right? Now this is the news, and you can find, if you want a detailed text of this news, you can find it on my website also, which is fantasticfundas.com. And so that's it.